This is the Oconee County Rescue Squad Advisory Commission meeting for August 24th, 2023. Call to order. Everyone received a copy of the minutes. Get a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of approval of minutes for July 27th, 2023, unanimous, unopposed. All right, public comment. Welcome members of the public. No public comment. Any commission member comments? All right, skipping item 5 and 6 per the commissioners that are listed. We're moving down to committee reports, radio committee, Commissioner Zahn, Commissioner Land.
We're still in holding pattern for the FCC. And Scott, you're aware of some things that I may not be.
So we're still working through contracts for the 130 antenna. Basically, it's between the attorneys. So we're working through that to get that one project going. We're in the final stages of the repeater. It is operational. We have the schematics and stuff. They're still doing some testing in the basements and stuff of that building. And so we're working through that for the Corn Shallow new remilled repeater. They have not, we are supposed to have, but do not have the test radios yet. But we are supposed to have the test radios on the Kenwood side to try and test them and see if they're going to make a difference. Some of the fire departments have seen a significant difference in their area with the different radio. So we're trying to work on that and the programming. So that's kind of where we're at. And not much on other things are going on. We're waiting to see if the radio position is continued to actually for all the reprogramming and all that. So, but that position is still, being voted on through the council budget.
Did we ever find out the radio model? Is it the NX 5200?
I have not. And I'm not sure which one they're giving us. They're giving us the newest version to make sure that that'll be we'll be able to, if we go with that, it'll be the longest version, one that they're not pulling back out of service.
Any additions to that committee as far as members since last?
Say again?
If you guys added any additional members to serve on that committee since last time?
No, not in quite a while. We haven't had any meetings.
Okay. Any further on the radio committee? All right, incentive committee, Commissioner Zahn, Commissioner Sproggs.
Scott again?
I can cover that in mine, or I can just do it now. I just wanted to remind everyone, deadline, as always, is September 30th. And from the September 30th, we will, give 1 month, grace to get the paperwork done. But that doesn't mean you get grace period. It's the paperwork done. It doesn't mean you have more time to do your physicals, more time to do your all that. It's make sure it's in the system for that. So, but we want to remind everyone now's the time. There's a physical going on right now. And we're providing those, frequently, almost every month, and then you can always go locally on the schedule almost every Thursday for physicals also locally. So that will be going out this year for physical stuff. So we're going to be working through that also for the incentive to make sure we have that intact to continue that.
Scott, do you know any numbers of people who are short physicals as of now?
I don't. I'd have to pull that.
Do you know, as of January, for the new members that filled out the onboarding packet and the Paylocity stuff, do they still have to fill out the normal packet that new members used to fill out for taxes and things?
That if they've done all the new members, that is what has to be done. That covers it all. So
So they're good.
that's what If they're onboarded appropriately from there should not be anything we have to go get for incentive. We haven't gone through that process yet, but it's what we're being told.
Okay.
From just talking with Ashley, all the people who submitted paperwork, we had a couple who had to go back in and they had bad emails. Or
They've
had
pretty
checked
much
the
been
email they gave
notified.
us, so they had to go back in and reassign it and open it back up. But so far, everybody has completed it in a timely fashion. We're doing it on Fridays. Usually we'll hand them out on Thursdays. She emails them on Fridays. You gotta have it done within 3 business days. But by doing it on Fridays, we get the extra 2 days on the weekends for people to get their stuff together to have it done for the I-9 by the following Wednesday to get it in. So far, everybody, knock on wood, hasn't had any problems.
Mike,
Yes.
how does that work as far as after she receives everything, then what's the next thing that happens? And in
She
the
takes the information, she takes the information, basically what you give us on just a basic, application, email, phone number to contact them is good. We send all that to her with the background, everything else. She starts the onboarding for the volunteers via our Paylocity system, which is our HR program. And she contacts and says, hey, you're gonna get an email. Be ready for it to come this date. You'll need, 2 forms of ID unless you have a, passport. And from there, it's just pretty much plain and simple. And the only hangup we have, if a person is presently or has been in the public safety retirement system, that there's another box they gotta check. But she knows now to double check that before this person does it.
So once that's done, then what happens?
They get onboarded, everything's done, contact the chiefs or let them know that they're fine. Because some of the chiefs are doing their own background checks. In the case of the fire department, rescue squads, we're doing them. And they're known to bring them.
So is it usually after they have all the paperwork in, is
Yes.
it usually a week?
It just depends. I mean, if the person, like you said, we get it in anytime during the week before Thursday, she'll send it in. But if we get it on a Friday afternoon, she won't start it until the next week. That way, because somebody, not everybody checks their email daily. And like I said, if we give it to them on Monday morning, they have until 8 o'clock on Thursday morning to have all that paperwork done, because the I-9 has a certain amount of time once you sign in there and start putting your stuff.
Does she notify the chief or do you notify the chief?
I notify.
Okay.
And I keep them, like up to date on what paperwork has been submitted, or if somebody hasn't opened it yet.
Thank you.
And I just want to make sure I heard somebody say something for members who have already been getting incentive checks, that they're supposed to fill out the paperwork every 2 years. That's not the case, right?
No,
Okay.
not that I'm aware.
They haven't told us that.
I mean, because once you're in there, you're in there.
Any additions to the incentive committee? SOG committee, Mr. Land, you want to take us through?
Yep, so we met again Tuesday. We have all of our revisions done. We are in the process of typing it up. We're all in a shared document, so we can go in and edit it and see what everybody's doing and look at the version history. We are going to present the first reading at the next commission meeting, September 28th, and that'll be a proposed document.
We're still looking for members from District 2, District 4, and District 5, if anybody's interested in serving.
I presented it at the last special rescue dive meeting that we were looking for people, and I told them to get hold of Mike if they're interested.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Wilbanks, if you kick that around at District 2 as well.
I will.
Training committee?
I do not have anything to report. Do not have any additions as of yet. I need one, from Region 3. So, that's all I have for now.
Could you send us copy of the training document. I can't find the one that we have. You have it on the email you could send it to?
I'll send it again.
All right. Chief Carroll, your report?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Start off with physicals. We have one going on tonight. We actually had, I do believe, 12 actually on the list. I mean, we can hold up to 30 for our North Greenville, so it's still hitting about 50% on those. Some of the numbers got up just depending on location. This was at Long Creek, so we tried to move them around. The one before this was at Corn Shallow. The next one's gonna be at, South Union on September 26th. I do believe is a Thursday. Actually, it's a Tuesday. September 26th is a Tuesday. So that will be the last North Greenville for this year for incentive. But Doc Henry's Upstate Medical still has tons of openings this coming month. They're here recently, we've been hitting about 5 every day, every Thursday. So I know the day I think they only had 3 today though. So call this office and get with Cindy to schedule your appointment. Sooner the better. Anybody have any questions on that? Excuse me a minute, forgot to hand this out earlier. Response report for last month, July. Seneca Rescue and Salem Rescue, both doing extremely well, 99 and 100% making the calls. If you're looking at it for if you look at the columns, the first 2 columns are first quarter of this year, number of calls to the number of no responses. The second 2 columns are the second quarter's responses, and then you have a total for 2020. Well, you have a total so far at the end. Oakway still hitting around the same they were last month. Walhalla about the same. Westminster has actually dropped down some, and Mountain Rest hitting about the same. Kiwi Rescue had a vast improvement with a bunch of the new EMRs. They are now, they had 31 calls in July and only no response on 4 of them. So, big improvement there, brought their number up to 59%, and the way they're looking right now, they'll be in the probably high 60s or 70s this coming month. Dive and Special Rescue, like I said, we know that time of year the calls picked up. Dive had 7 responses and Special Rescue had 9 for the year so far. Anybody have any questions? Again, great work by Seneca and Salem, and also Kiwi this past month, keeping up with the calls. Seneca had 160 responses last month and only missed 2, so that's 99% of their calls. Anybody have any questions? All right. Roll program. Reduction of opioid lives lost. That's the Narcan program through the State Firearm Association. We're working on getting that trained. We have the position in-house now. Paramedic Zach Smith is running that. So far, we have completed approximately 80 have taken this class, and I pulled a roll for ours, and actually going through our roster on a fire roster, I'm gonna have to take some names off because for us to reach our 80% for the fire, we would have to get 160 people. So there's nowhere 160 people need to be on our roster. So a lot of those are double listed. I'm going through and hitting them, and changing those where they need to be changed to. I'm getting with Chief Smith and Chief Norris about that. We've already conducted the training at Rescue 1, Rescue 2, Rescue 4, Rescue 6, Fire 1, Fire 8. Both of those have met, or, I'm sorry, not Fire 1, Fire 2 and Fire 8 have met their requirements. We're sending their numbers to, DHEC, who will issue the Narcan. So we're working on that now. We'll be getting with those fire chiefs to find out how many they want. The rest of the units, we're gonna be working, getting you the Narcan. And then we have classes upcoming at Rescue 5 on 9/11, at Rescue 22 at 9/19, and also Rescue 3 on 9/19. We're gonna get with Rescue 7 and 8 because they hold a large number of our 37. I think half their membership are not affiliated with any other rescue squad or fire department in the county. So get them, help boost our numbers. So we'll be contacting the chiefs of both those organizations. Zach already has, working on that. Does anybody have any questions?
Does the county have a SOP on the distribution of medication along with Narcan for, if you're a new member who just got your training, if you're an existing member, or if you have a depleting stock or
Yes.
supply? What is it?
SOG is, came out, for being an active member, you had to sit through right now the Narcan and the Epi class for EMRs. EMTs have to go through a medication class also, and you need to run at least 50% or more of your calls for your district dispatch. And that SOG doesn't have a number yet, I'm still wordsmithing it.
Gotcha.
And if, any more questions? The EMR Research CP program. Working with the training document, we've been in contact with Upstate Medical, Upstate EMS. And, we worked through some issues with them. We got one more hurdle to go through, and that looks like it's gonna be a good go for CEP and all your hours and everything. Instead of sitting through a class, you conduct your CEP hours just like an EMT does over the years of your certification. And when you come up, you'll have to probably, like everybody else, verification of skills, and there may be a short test, is where we're at right now. So, I know there's a lot of headache with this, but when you have the old guard being replaced by the new ones coming in, some things do change. So, we're working through that, we'll have more up probably, I would say, by next week, for sure. But right now, we're doing pretty good. We're still averaging only about 5 people at EMR CEP class. I mean, nobody was showing up during the day. I understand, everybody works. But some who could show up during the day that are retired could come. So that's why we were starting out with both day and night, but after 3 months of no one showing up during the day, that's why we just went to the nighttime classes. EMT still averaging about 5 at each one. So that's pretty good. And that will be coming up this coming Tuesday and Wednesday, the EMT CEP at headquarters. And I'll put an active out on that tomorrow. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, can you refresh my memory on how many hours you need to get your CEP before you take your skills and tests?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna whack it.
But it does, the action training still takes in place of that.
Yes, it's CAPC. Yes.
And I do have some people still having issues getting logged into it with the new code that you gave us.
Yes.
And we've tried to, their password is the exact same and it's not logging them in, and then they keep requesting a forgot password and it never sends an email.
Okay. Have them, if they can come by and see me, or I can stay late. If they work during the day, I'll stay late and work through these issues.
Okay.
Because it's not, you're not the only one.
And it's not just a Coney.
Yeah. Anybody else? Oh, last thing, vehicles and upkeep. We're going through and, making sure the mileage and everything's reported, everybody's doing a good job reporting your mileage. There should be a bunch coming up. I'm getting with Jessica at the motor pool to schedule all the county vehicles when they're coming up in our PM. Some met mileage. Rescue 1, you meet the mileage, you got the sticker, you take it in. Some of the other ones that don't get the minimum mileage yearly, or, you know, to do more than one oil change a year, we're gonna touch it, bring it in, inspect it, service it, take care of what the problems that are there. So I'll be getting with the chiefs and probably coming up. It'll probably be later on in, I'd say, October, November timeframe, unless the vehicle's actually due for service now. Keeping your vehicles, please keep them tidy. Not throwing anybody under the bus, but make sure people who, if you respond in it and bring it back to the stations, you know, take your trash out of it. Don't leave it for the next person, volunteer, it goes, gets in it. Some bug issues in one I just had to deal with. We've had rats and mice in other vehicles at one time that was left sitting in a building. So please check them, double check them. If you got an issue, everybody has my number. We can get it taken care of. Other than that, anybody have any questions? And that's it for me.
Chief Bryant.
First is Bounty Land. If you haven't driven by, it's coming along good. We just got the appliances in. We're hopefully next week have a temporary CO. Of course, there are parts for the generator that are back ordered, so we can't get a final until that's installed. But with that, it'll be at least January most likely before we staff it, and that's when we hope to have staff to actually put it in there. With the new budget going through and all that, we hope that all that progresses. And hopefully within the month, we will have the box alarms and all the different responses for that. So we'll be meeting with the squads in that area of, you know, what's the backup, what's this, and how that all looks. I'd like to sit down and talk to you about what that response is gonna look like. We don't need to send the farm when we don't need to send the farm. You know, a lot of that area is Rescue One, and you can see that they're 99%. But at the same token, we wanna make sure that the public gets what they, you know, what they need when they need it. So we're gonna be sitting down with those, because it does affect more than just Rescue One, as we draw out that, box alarm system. And the different boxes within that district as it gets set in, for that. So, and that also is part of the contract area, which is also part of the reason why we don't have that out yet. So, we're kind of working through all those at the same time when we do that. Volunteer incentive, we kind of covered that earlier. Again, remind your people, get those few things, make sure your training hours are in and the training class is been approved. That whoever did the training filled out the paperwork right in the RS, so that we get all that and your certificates are updated and then they're also, so that we can make sure that you are qualified for that. Which kind of banks on the next one, the helicopter insurance. We've been without a couple years without the helicopter insurance that we did once provide. The ability for the one system that we used to pay for is less than 10% of the helicopter calls, even in the county now, when you actually look at the numbers that come. So it really wasn't, we were saying we were buying helicopter insurance for you, and really now with the change in helicopters, it's not. So the new system will cover most of that and transports that we are looking at. We're still in the process. It looks like that will most likely be finalized in October once we get the new incentive numbers to actually go through. We will, those departments that have already paid, will actually be transferring that person over to our system. But there won't be a refund as it was already prepaid for that. Will actually end up, when it'll expire, and then we will pick it up, but they're already been, so we will get billed when they've expired. They won't let us prorate them or any of that. If a person denies that, or turns their, like if they go in and say, I don't want this anymore, you don't get your money back. So we're working through that, trying to make sure everyone doesn't have a drop that are being paid for. And then the ones that were left on those squads, will still get a bill, so their bill may go from 30 to 15, once we get all of the eligible, incentive personnel. The biggest thing is that price has gone from $35.70 to $180, per responder. So that is gonna be a huge benefit to people, especially those that don't have insurance or don't find themselves with good, insurance that covers that kind of thing. but it does cover ground transport and, air transport, is what we're looking at for that, as we bring that back into agreement, so that it covers everyone. And that does not just cover us for Coney County. It does cover us. It is an actual insurance. It is not a subscription program. And that's what the other one technically was. That's why it was only good for one helicopter group, as we move forward for that. So a lot of moving parts in that with getting the bid process and all of that done to make that happen. But we're hoping to add that benefit, like we have the supplemental insurance to the workman's comp and those kind of things. We're hopefully add that as a benefit to the volunteers. Other than questions, that's all I have.
Are you able to say who the provider is for the insurance?
Not presently. We are going down a path for that, but it has not been finalized.
You said it went from 35 something to what,
180,
80, 180?
yes.
Annual.
Annual, yes,
Is that through the state association?
yes. At the present time.
All right, regional updates for squads 1 and 3. Region 1, nothing new to update with Rescue 3. Rescue 1, we've got Rescue 1A back in service now. And we're still fundraising for an ice machine. We're still quite short. So, that's all I have for that region. Region 2, Commissioner Wilbanks.
Okay, for Rescue 2, everything is going well. All trucks and equipment are working. We have 4 currently in EMR class. We have 1 official EMT now who passed the written portion of that last week. So we're excited about that. We have an upcoming fundraiser going on in conjunction with the town of Salem's last car show for the year, where they do Toys for Tots and all that stuff. So that is on September 9th. Hoping for a big event that night and selling raffle tickets for a handmade knife. If you were interested in that, get with a member of Fire 2 or Rescue 2. Also, concern the last 2 or 3 Saturdays or weekends in general is getting to Devil's Fork. We've had repeated calls up there, and if you're not in a vehicle that has lights and sirens, you're stuck in traffic. Last time we were up there Saturday, some of them shot through Patterson Ridge Road and went around to get above the park where the actual call was. It's becoming increasingly difficult on the weekends during the summer to get up there. So just food for thought. Don't know what the solution might be, except for just always hit Patterson Ridge, but that's curvy and gravel and would be an interesting ride in a hurry, but could be done. Even just to get, I didn't get to the last call up there. I was 4 cars away from the Ranger when they were loading the patient into the ambulance, so.
We do know that, and we've had conversations with the Ranger and working on other options. They put the sign out when it's full. People still don't,
Still,
they're working on options, but they've added the parking and they filled the parking. And now they're still in the same boat, so.
for Rescue 6, said everything was good with equipment and everything, but would like to have an update on the truck.
I was in contact with them today about their truck. Everything was installed, and they went to test it, and it was not a red and white light bar. It was a blue light bar. So even though the packaging said it was red and white and amber, it was blue once the power hit it. So the new light bar is on order, and hopefully will be here soon.
That's all I have.
Traffic.
Tell that to the
Clears traffic well.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
All right, Region 3, Commissioner Lamb.
I don't have anything from Chief Harper or Rescue 5. I wanted to touch up on some things that I brought up last month. So since we're already on the topic of vehicles, do we have a Tahoe update for the wiring?
It's on the list of vehicles to be handled.
Okay.
So Motor Pool is down people and they have hired a few people, but the same person that does that also does all of the upfits for the Tahoes. So,
They're double booked, basically.
right.
Yeah.
And trying to get Rescue 6 done in service, and then they'll start, because it has to be completely rewired from the shorts that happened.
And then they had training a couple weeks ago, and there was some issues with the AC in the building for Rescue 4. Has that been getting looked into?
Oh, yeah. That was, a thermostat was hung up, basically. So I got it regulated, and it's the condensation issue. It was dripping in the training room. It stopped. It was also a roof leak from the major downpour we had a couple weeks ago, right before that. They fixed the roof leak, and then I noticed it was still wet, and that's when we figured out it was condensation issue. So, the thermostat has been set to 72 and not the very cool that it was set at by people in the building at some point in time, and locked back up. So that one should be fine at 72.
And then the only other thing, we also didn't have any interest in the Budget or Finance Committee for both of them. The only other thing we brought up, are commission members allowed to reach out to the county attorney?
So there's a discussion on how that works, and we should have an answer soon, but I don't have that answer yet.
Okay, does anyone have a Region 4 update from Commissioner Sprogis?
They did have new members, apply to be CPR instructors, and there are, some of them are, this is for Rescue 22, I'm sorry, and they're thinking about having an EMR class. Some of them are now interested in being EMRs. So we're thinking about holding another EMR class in September, October timeframe. But nothing I set them up with some certified instructors from upstate, and they're supposed to be getting that together. But they did have another good turnout. They went to the newcomers, I think it's for the Kiwi Key, and had a bunch of new interest in it. They're up to about 20 members now.
Very good.
Like I said, they only, out of 31 calls, 4 no responses. So,
Mike, do you know when the county's gonna have an initial EMR class?
that one started already. It just started last
Last week, 2 weeks,
week, 2 ago,
Daytime or
nighttime.
my time.
All right, Region 5, Commissioner Zahn.
I meant to ask you before, Mike, you mentioned a while back that you were looking for someone to do emergency equipment vehicle installations,
Yes.
someone who was an actual, did you have any luck?
Found one, but I'm gonna look for some more. I mean, I was approached by one individual so far. But for us to do it, we're gonna have to bid it out, so I gotta find at least 2 to 3 more for the bidding process.
I asked Mark Mealy to call you.
Yes.
He did?
Yes.
Okay, good,
We've been in contact.
good, thank you. Anyway, 7 and 8. We're getting busy with calls.
Had good training this week.
Yeah, yep.
I know they were out all day today too.
Good heart training. Was on the news last night, pretty good.
That's all you got?
That's all.
All right. Is there a matter for executive session?
Yes, can I hit one thing before that? Mike, if it doesn't inundate you too much, it looks like you've got the response paper like down pat now. Is there any way you think you would be able to start adding a column for time of day called fit? So morning, afternoon, and late at night?
We can try it.
Just curious.
I'll be truthful, I go in and double check myself on every one of those calls because I run the ERS report one way, it comes out with a bunch of numbers, and I totally run it the different, some other way, you know, not spit out those right numbers. And I think it's because they want you to pay them to basically build a report based on your criteria, and I'm using someone else's criteria reporting. So, this is going to dispatch and getting the actual number of calls each squad was dispatched on. Okay, it registers that. Now, it doesn't register, I can probably break it out by time from them, but it's gonna take a little bit of time.
Okay.
That CAD should spit it out correctly. But it's gonna take a little time, working with, Lisa Willis down at dispatch.
Gotcha. That's all I had, sorry.
Okay.
I do make a motion to enter executive session.
You have a second? Fair. We're now in an executive session. We'll return momentarily. we have a motion to exit executive session.
A motion.
Second.
All in favor? We have exited executive session. No action was taken on the matters discussed. No other matters. We are needing a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Mr. Zahn?
Yes, sir.
This meeting is adjourned.